All right. Shh. William. All right. So yesterday we talked about a Riemann sum, and we just want to do a quick recap for everybody. So what happened is we're gonna talk about yesterday what we talked about from approximation. From approximation, there's a right Riemann sum, and there's a left Riemann sum. There's a midpoint rule. There's a trapezoid rule. Every question that is important to let me screen share that. Office. Hold on a second. And where's my screen? Okay. There is a right Riemann sum. Right Riemann sum, left Riemann sum, midpoint rule, and trapezoid rule. Some of you guys probably don't recall a trapezoid rule, how to find the trapezoid from geometry. Basically, it's a base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2 times the height. Basically, you just adjust the trapezoid to make it like a rectangle. So what I mean by that is, pretend that there's a 4 here and there's a 6 here. You readjust the 4 and 6 to become a rectangle. So be 4 plus 6 over 10 would be 5. So then you becomes this rectangle here. And I take this, put in right here, then it becomes a very easy thing. Yesterday we also talked about pay attention. When is over approximation, when is under approximation. Depend on concavity and increasing and decreasing, right? Now, if I'm going to give you a situation, if a function is decreasing and I'm using right-hand approximation, is that overestimate or underestimate? So it's decreasing. I'm going to draw it for you. It's something like decreasing, right? And if you use right Riemann sum, so then you're going to be like this, right? So that will be under approximation. Are we okay here? How about trapezoid rule? Trapezoid rule is just say if a function is concave down, it's an over approximation or under approximation. It's concave down, so you can draw it, concave down, and it's going to be under approximation. Does that make sense? Yes. So those are the things that you should consider. Are they overestimate or underestimate? You have to justify according to the spec. The spec is going to tell you, says, you do not write 10 paragraph essays, tell me why is overestimate. You just have to say keywords. So, for example, if a function is decreasing, left Riemann sum, you can say the function is over approximation because the function is decreasing. It's left Riemann sum. If you rephrase that in sentence, or it didn't have to write in sentence because those math people just read math, they don't read sentences. So you just have to write down something that makes sense, you know, and to get the points. Again, AP exam focus on 3 things: tables, which is the most popular one, functions, and graph. Table takes account into regular intervals and irregular intervals. What does that mean? What does a regular interval mean? Yes.
Irregular is like when it isn't evenly spaced out.
Yes, the spacing between things is not uniform. So for example, like the one here, I give it to you, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. This is uniform or not uniform? Uniform. And each width is what? 2. There's an equation help you find out that as well. B minus A over N, or B plus A over N, sorry, I've been writing wrong. So B plus A over N, oh, B minus A over N, sorry. B minus A over N is 9 minus 1 over how many rectangle? Could be 4 rectangle, could be 2 rectangles, right? So really depends on that. Now, regular interval is going to be a midpoint. Popular question with the regular interval is going to be midpoint because that's only time you can get a regular interval. And irregular interval is going to be usually it's actually more popular to be irregular than regular because the calculation more likely to make mistakes. So those are things that you should pay attention to, small details. Are they regular interval or irregular interval? If it's irregular, then each width is different, right? Now, also, I'm going to talk about what is FRQ is looking for. Andrew, Lucas, pay attention because those are the things that you guys are going to make mistake. Because you're gonna say, I got this. I'm just going to type everything in the calculator and you got the answer 64. And guess what? You will not get a single point if you just write down 64. Now, if you write down 63 with the correct work, they still give you credit. So just say, for example, you enter in the key wrong, and you got a 63 as a final answer, but you write this part. Like say 2, which is the first width, multiplied by the first height, f of 9, 2 times f of 7, 2 times f of 5, 2 times f of 3, and you did not use f of 1, they will actually give you the points. And if you write down the work, you write down 63, that will still earn you a point. If you don't write it, you say, I did everything in the calculator, that's my answer, 64, 0. 0 points. On my test as well, 0 points. Even as much as you do this like this, and you stop, you say, I'm not going to calculate that. AP exam will give you 4 points.
Really?
Yep. Because they're not testing you if you know how to enter in the key. There is no AP calculate part. Right? There is just if you understand arithmetic or not understand arithmetic. So you can type in this. From the width here is 2, from here is 2, from here is 2, from here is 2. And this right Riemann sum, just 2 times f of 9, f of 9, f of 7, f of 5, f of 8. That will give you all the points. And make sure you don't use 12. Remember that yesterday we talked about space between trees, right? There was 4 trees, there's 3 space. 1, 2, 3. So that means you can only use 3 of the 4 values or 5 of the 6 value. So it really depends on the situations. Yes?
What does an irregular interval look like?
In regular interval, good question. In regular interval, for example, if I cover up this, it'll be in regular interval because 1 to 5, that interval width, it would have been 4 instead of 2. But why is the next one? Next one's all 2, but I still make it irregular. They don't have the same width. So that's something that you pay attention. That's why irregular does not have midpoint rules. They do not have a midpoint rule for irregular. Only on regular situations. So midpoint rule on this one, for example, on this one, midpoint with 2 equal interval. So let's just say if I do midpoint, 2 equal interval, I can actually have 2 midpoints, or I can have 1 midpoint too. 1 midpoint is going to be 8 times 8, 64. I don't know if you see that. Because the midpoint between 1 and 9 is 8. It's 5. And the 5 leads to the height of 8. So it'll be 8 times 8 is equal to 64. You get it done. It's same accuracy as 4 rectangle. Well, in this case. Does that make sense? Now, what if I did it in 2? 2 rectangle. Can I do it with 2 rectangle?
Yeah.
What's the number you're going to get? With the midpoint.
Is that the Isn't that the one you got 48?
Nope.
Isn't that the one we did yesterday?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, it's different bottom numbers.
Yeah. If I do 2 midpoint rule, what answer am I gonna get?
76.
76 is correct. Do you guys get 76?
Do you want me to explain it?
Could you?
Please do it, Jack.
I got you guys. Alright. So, first of all, it's the interval is 2, right? And we're using a midpoint. So we're gonna have to do 9 minus 1 is 8. 8 over 2 is 4. So we're gonna, whatever we have, we're gonna multiply by 4. So we put the 4 outside the parentheses. And we're using intervals. So it's gonna be intervals of 4, right?
Yeah.
But we're using midpoint. So see, there's 5 intervals. So we're gonna have 2 midpoints. So it's gonna be 3 and 7, right?
Yeah.
So it's gonna be 4, and then in parentheses is gonna be f of 3 plus f of 7, and then parentheses. So you're gonna have 4 times f of 3 plus f of 7. So then you do 4 times f of 3, which is 40, plus 4 times f of 7, which is 36. And 36 plus 40 is 76.
Okay. I missed the part where you took the
So-
the f of x is right there.
Yeah, so here is gonna be 1 to 5, that's our first rectangle, and the second rectangle right here, right? But I'm not using 1, 5, or 9 because I'm using midpoint, so I'm using 10 and 9. So it'll be 4 times f of 3, 4 times f of 7, that's equal to 76. Remember, pay attention how many intervals they give it to you, because on your homework they can trick you with the intervals. Okay? This is an example of
And irregular.
irregular. Now, irregular, I'm going to show you how to do a rectangle. And how do I do irregular? So for me, I'm going to show you the shortest way, at least the way it makes sense for me. The way is I will plug in a graph like this. And I'll show you how do I graph that. It just pretty much is estimation. I don't need to be very, very precise. I just need to draw a number on it, see if it makes sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that here. And I'm going to start at 1, 5, and 8, like this. And at 1, I'm going to say this is a 15. At 5, it's going to be 20. And at 8 is going to be 12, which is smallest one. Now, if it's a right Riemann sum, I'm going to base on the right point. So I start with the right point. Are you guys following me so far?
Yeah.
I'm going to base on right point. I'm going to draw the first rectangle. And this one, I'm going to base on here to draw the second rectangles. So basically, I know this is a 12. This is 3. So it'll be 3 times 12. And now here it's going to be 4 times 20. Does that make sense?
We're using right.
We're using right.
Okay.
But we can also use in trapezoid. So I'm going to do the same thing as you do trapezoid. So I'm going to ask you to do the same thing with the 2 trapezoid. I want you to figure out if you can figure out a value for trapezoid.
So just like connect the dots. Please. I want
You can connect a dot if you want. What happens if you deal with trapezoid?
You're gonna get
Don't draw a triangle and a rectangle. Just do a trapezoid.
This one is concave down, so we're gonna be.
It does. This one's not concave down. If a table, you cannot tell concave down or concave up, because a table is just random value on any points. So you cannot tell its concavity. Because what happened in between, we're not saying that. And you don't have to worry about overestimate or underestimate if the term is table.
Trapezoids are we making? 2?
2. Good question. 2 trapezoid. But this is with the irregular interval now. So I give you 3 points here. Can you figure out a trapezoid? Remember, I'll draw it, right? At 1, this point is going to give me 15. At 5, it's going to be 20. At 8, it's going to give me 12.
I guess I just haven't seen how you drew.
Okay, so I'm going to draw it. That's the first one.
Oh, you can do that?
Oh, you did two.
I was trying to like make an actual trapezoid. Like I was trying to.
No, just...
Oh, what's wrong with you? I might be. I don't know. I just did it really like.
I actually did it perfectly on my first try because I'm a genius.
35, that would do 17.5 times 4.
Here are 2 cents.
15 and 20. 15
And remember, the nicest thing is you don't have to evaluate on AP exam if you don't have time. You write out like this. Look, 15, 20 over 2 times 4 plus 20 plus 12 over 2 times 3. You're done. Unless you have time, you go simplify. If you don't have time, don't bother. Because you simplify wrong, more likely you're going to get graded wrong. If you don't have time. If you have time, if you have extra time, then you can go ahead and simplify it. Makes it easier to grade because grader is grading 10,000 people at the same time. They grade same question every single test. They don't only grade one question at the whole day. And they grade second question the whole day. They grade third question the whole day.
What if I did it like this, where I just wrote how you would solve the areas and then I just say add them all?
No, don't do it in two things. What they will do is you just have to write out like this, and you're fine. You don't even have to evaluate it. If you do like this, other people don't see the format. I know for you it makes sense, but for me, just 2 base over 2 times the height. Does this make sense or no? You do not have to evaluate if you don't have time. If you have extra time, you're bored out of your mind, go ahead and evaluate it. But remember, when you evaluate wrong, it doesn't count against you. If you write out a work of this. Does that make sense? Now, if you just write down the answer 63, even though it's the right answer, they still don't have a credit. Now, you got to understand everything has a rubric because you want to grade, I think it's 250,000 papers. And we have to have some type of rubric to count against it. So don't do trapezoid and don't do rectangle and the triangle because they don't see that format. I understand you did that, and I understand you can get the right answer, but they don't see that format often. So it's going to take them time to figure out. If it takes them time to figure out, they are grading 250,000 paper. They don't want to spend time on figure out something they cannot figure out. So if something's confusing, doesn't seem like they understand trapezoid, if they do a rectangle and triangle, it does not apply to them. They don't have to give you the credit. Now, it's really depend on the grader too, because every grader is going to be different, right? So you don't want to take that chance not getting the point. Andrew, does that make sense?
Wait, so we weren't supposed to do the rectangle and the triangle?
I guess like you can do it right, but don't draw it out like that.
No. You should do a trapezoid rule because the trapezoid rule is a trapezoid. It's not a rectangle and a triangle. Just do base 1 plus base 2 over 2 times the width.
I guess I don't see what the second base is.
A second base, here you can see. See, this is
The first base is 4.
no, this is the height is a fourth.
Oh my god.
The height is a fourth. The base is 15 and 20. This is base 3, and then 3 times 12 plus 20. That's it. Over 2.
I don't know why I didn't process that it was.
You just have to turn the trapezoid to vertical. Yeah, that's something also they don't see too. So make sure. So you can start with your homework, classwork, actually. So I'll give you the answers in such a way it's crypted, but it's an easy crypt. So The first one is 10. That means 3 digits add up to be 10. It could be 550. Could be 523. Could be 190. Could be a lot of things. And the next one's a 5-digit number add up to be 13.
Is this plus one?
The cryptic answer is not.
Wait, so 10, 10, 13, and 16 are the answers?
The answer 3-digit number add together. So it could be 550. 5 plus 5 plus 0 is 10. 3-digit number. Cryptic answers over there.
This is the classwork?
It's on a model.
Is it just those number one?
No, those 4. It start with. It's on a model. It's on your model. You can start now.
Oh, I'm not gonna finish this.